Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I'm going to make sure. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, awesome. Great. I am so excited to be here. I was thinking I have been probably in about 4 or 5 different cities this past week. And I was worried I wasn't going to have enough energy to actually give this talk, but the energy in this room has pumped me up so much. So, so I'll probably need some help, like calm it down, Vanessa. Don't be so excited. But I am thrilled to be here, and I have looked through the agenda, was able to hear the previous panel. I want to say thank you and give it up to Cesium for putting this on. This is just an awesome, awesome space house. So I was asked to talk about why Artemis changes everything. And I will just tell you right now what's going on in space, not just here in Texas. I love the last panel because what we're doing in Texas is amazing, and I'm definitely going to talk about that. But it's what we're doing all around the world that's making this happen. So if you guys can bear with me, I'll talk about 5 hours. No, about 30 minutes just to share some of the highlights of things that are going on. So next chart, there you go. Always want to start with the humans that we have in space today. Just wanted to remind everyone, Tim on the last panel, he talked about it, the fact that we've had astronauts living on board the International Space Station for 25 years. And of that time, there's never been a time during that period when there's not been a U.S. astronaut on board. There's Tim. and so, a heartfelt thank you. It takes thousands and thousands of people to make this possible. It's about the astronauts that are in space, but it's the people that are on the ground. And, for us, when I think about what we're able to do today and where we're trying to go tomorrow, I think about where we were in the past. And so it's important for us to know that in order for us to go to the moon, go to Mars, there's things that we have to still learn. And the International Space Station is allowing us to do that. I think you had a panel earlier that talked about the science that's being done on the space station and the discoveries that we still need to do. So right now, today, these astronauts are on board, and cosmonauts, and we have an ESA astronaut. They're doing amazing science that will allow us to be able to do exploration going forward. But not only is it about that and what we're doing with the space station, next chart, it's around how do we get there. So, this is them when Crew 12 got on board. They were super excited to be there. I like to, talk about the fact that we work really hard, but we also have a good time. And so this was them arriving. They've been working day and night to get ready. This coming week, we'll have what we call an EVA, which is an extravehicular activity to go outside to make some upgrades so that we can continue to have power to the space station going forward. But the work that gets done every day, there's multiple vehicles that are bringing cargo up, that's bringing science up, and all of this is helping us to learn, but we're doing this differently than we did it in the past. Next chart. And so using commercial as a way for us to maintain the International Space Station and also for us to look forward to the transportation, to the cargo that we're going to have when we transition from the current space station to what we're going to call commercial LEO destinations. And so we have companies today, you saw on the last panel, they talked about what they're doing for us to be ready for that transition. And we're learning on the International Space Station around these companies, how they build, how they develop, the logistics, et cetera, that they're going to provide helps us to get ready for going to the moon. And under Artemis, we have a strategy of moon to Mars. That strategy took a while for us to put together because the United States, we wanted to go to the moon. We had our international partners that wanted to go to the moon, but every time we would change administrations, we would have a change in direction. But with the Artemis program, since the past three administrations, we've been able to keep going on what we call a Moon to Mars strategy. And that's allowing us to develop the capabilities, some that we're testing on the International Space Station for Mars, some that we're testing for the Moon, but it will allow us to do that together. But our international community wants to go to the Moon. The United States went to the Moon, but the rest of the world hasn't. And so everyone is looking forward. But now we're going to go differently. We're going to go to the South Pole. It is not going to be the same as Apollo. We are very fortunate. I will tell you, thank you so much, Shay, for mentioning, Neil Armstrong. We know that we stand on the shoulders of giants. What was accomplished under Apollo, to me, I still think about it as an engineer, and it just wows me to think with the technology that they had, what they were able to accomplish. But think about what we have today and what more we can be doing. Next chart. And so for Artemis 1, this is actually a photo of that test mission. This is not a rendition. This is an actual photo. So in December of 2022, for about 25 days, the Orion spacecraft was around the moon. I would go into mission control, and in one control room, we had the space station being controlled, and in the other, we had Orion. And I can only tell you what it felt like. And so now to think about in, maybe another 18 days or so, we will have our astronauts on board the Orion and headed to the moon. And what, yes. So I'm gonna have a short video so you can hear from them yourselves and you can see how excited they are. Play the video.
We shall return.
This is a live look.
We will see things that no human has ever seen.
We want to know what's out there just beyond the horizon.
Amazing live views from the spacecraft.
Coming back to Earth, say we were doing like 5 or 7 miles,
7 miles a second.
Those are just not numbers that humans generally think about.
We were always going to the moon.
Pushing ourselves to explore is core to who we are.
It's in our nature.
It's a part of being a human.
And liftoff! 6 million pounds on the pad, 250,000 miles.
Boosters have separated.
When humanity sets big goals, we can accomplish extraordinary things.
So it's just, for me, Reed and Victor, Christina, Jeremy, they've been training. We announced them about 3 years ago. It has taken for them, a lot because this is a new vehicle that we're putting humans on. And so all of that, all the efforts of all the companies that are involved in putting together the rocket, the Orion, the ground systems. We just had our flight readiness review down in Florida on Wednesday and Thursday, and we all polled go for launch. And so now it's just the finishing touches. And so please, April 1st through 6th, we will get together. Yes, we will get together. And when the weather says it's right, when the vehicle says it's right and everything, we're gonna launch. And I'm super excited and very proud of all the people that are making that happen. So please join us. Please join us as that happens. I see some people raising their hands. Yes, yes, yes. We're gonna definitely be there. And if you're not there in person, wherever you are, please stop, share it with your family, share it with your friends so they know that humanity is returning to the moon. So this time we're not gonna land. This, for us, has been stepping stones, just like they did with Apollo. You guys may know recently we have a new NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman. And yeah, clap it up for Jared. And so Jared flew 2 missions on SpaceX. He has come in and he really wants us to step up the tempo, which is great. I love it. And so he's charged us. We are now looking at inserting a mission in 2027 that will be another test flight mission that will allow us in Earth orbit to test out the landers. And then after that, to have a landing on the surface at the South Pole each year thereafter, and which is an increase in cadence. Additionally, one of the things, I know Firefly, I don't know if anybody's still here from Firefly. Okay, they're in the back. So Firefly, last March, I happened to be here when they landed on the moon. It was very exciting in the middle of the night. It was a whole bunch of fun. But one of the other things Jared wants to do is push up the tempo on robotic landings. He wants us to land once a month. So right now, our maps that we have, we've kind of laid out doing about 4 robotic missions a year, but now increasing that to 12. So just letting you know how much the activity is going to increase over the next several years. And now what we're looking at, and this is notional. Please don't look at this and go, okay, my element's not there, somebody else's element's there. This is notional. What we're doing right now is we're building out what the new architecture is going to look like and how many more elements. And so the intent, though, is that what you see on the bottom in 2028 is the beginning of a lunar base. And so I will tell you, as was mentioned by Shay, I didn't intend for you to say how long I had been working at NASA, but but in my career, I have not had an administrator say that we are going to have a lunar base, because people have been, I think, somewhat hesitant to want to commit to that. But Jared has said that, and he has said it out loud, and what that means is that we're going to have a lunar base. And so all of us need to know there is much more opportunity for all of the companies that are, here in Texas, all around the world, to be a part of this driving mission. And then, just to remind folks, because I know some people are saying, well, why moon? Why don't we go straight to Mars? And we've shared for many years that the things that we need to learn still and be able to do, we can do them at the moon. We can do them 250,000 miles from home versus going all the way to Mars. And so that is the reason that we're going to be doing them there. What we can do in low Earth orbit, we can go to low Earth orbit and we can get back, in a day if we had to. We go to the moon, it takes us 3 to 6 days. If we go to Mars, it's months based on the current systems that we have. And so what we're doing is we're learning at the moon before we go to Mars. But please know that Mars is still our ultimate goal. I don't have it in the package today, but at the Johnson Space Center right now, we have 4 individuals that are in a 3D printed habitat, and they have been in there since last October, and they will be in there until Halloween of this year, because they are test subjects, and they want to help us to understand physically what does it take to be able to do a Mars mission. And so we are learning. We're doing testing on humans, also on the vehicle designs, et cetera, for us to be able to get to Mars. Next chart. And so when I say all of us together, right now we have 61 countries that have committed to the Artemis Accords. These are countries that have agreed that they believe that we need to have a peaceful purpose in space. And now all of these countries are not able to provide, like for example, the Japanese are going to provide a rover. The Europeans have already committed to provide a surface habitat. The Canadians are providing rovers, and they're on a robotic arm, et cetera. Not all of them can provide those types of elements, but they can provide scientific payloads. They can provide and partner with another country. And so this, when you think about what we have in terms of people that are committed, these are people that are committed to the success of Artemis. And so when we say why Artemis changes everything, it changes everything because this is now where we're all committed to do one thing together. And I don't think we can commit to do one thing together on anything. So, so this is pretty impressive. And so I will tell you, We work with our international partners. I mentioned the International Space Station. Roughly about 30-something different countries have participated in some different ways. But this allows us now to expand the number of countries. The number of countries right now today where they're sending astronauts to space on commercial space vehicles and companies. These countries are looking at, can they be on the International Space Station? Can they be on the commercial lunar destinations going forward into the past, where we're all learning and building together? Next chart. And so I do want to say that NASA does understand, we have things that we're trying to do, and then we know that companies also have their own business cases, things that they're trying to do on their own. And so one of the things that I want to make sure to leave you with is that we want to be able to partner with you. And for my friends, I know that it is not always easy to do an agreement with NASA, to do an agreement with the government, but we have been working really hard to break down the barriers so that we can do things faster. We will have to. We will have to do things faster. And I love it. Like I said, our administrator is being very clear. We have to be faster. And so if you want to do business with NASA, this is Johnson Space Center. I call it the front door. It's a way for you to be able to, you could just Google it. There is a connect with us at the bottom. But you don't even have to do that. You can just go to Google and say JSC front door, and it'll take you there. If you have a need for something that we don't have at the Johnson Space Center, I will promise you we will connect you with another center or another agency so that you could do that. At JSC, our focus is on human space exploration. We have world-class vacuum chambers, human-rated capabilities for us to be able to do testing in 1G, micro G. We can make 6G, whatever is needed in order for you to be able to test your hardware. But if there's something that you need that we can't do there, we will make sure that you're able to get connected. I also want to make sure to share at Johnson, which is in Houston, and we talked about the capabilities that are down there, but we also are responsible for White Sands Test Facility, which is in New Mexico, which is right across the state line, right across from El Paso, where they do propulsion, materials testing, and so making sure that if you want to do testing on your engines, I'm talking to my friend in the very back, but we want to make sure that you know that you can do that at White Sands Test Facility. I believe that might be my last chart. Let's see. Yeah, it is. One thing that I did not have in the package, but I wanted to talk about, was the work that we do with interns and internships, the things that we do, not just with college students, but also with high school students. Here in Texas, the state investing with the Texas Space Commission also has a program that they've supported for years and years and years called Texas High School Aerospace Scholars. And that's for high school students, where they actually get a curriculum that they participate in through the course of junior and senior year. But between their junior and senior year, they get to come to Johnson and participate in a project that they work on, in a design project for high school students. Likewise, we are very excited about the things that the Texas Space Commission is doing with workforce, because all of us know, again, to do all of the things that was on that earlier map, it's going to take people. It's going to take us having engineers, technologists. We need to have scientists. We need to have all types of careers, especially on the human side. We need to have flight surgeons. And so how do we do that? We have to have a strategy. And so I want to thank the Workforce Commission, and I want to thank the folks that are here. I know there's a group that's called SQUIF that is funded, through the Space Commission. So, please, we have to have our students know that they can be a part of this. The other night, I was at a dinner, and a scholarship was given to a high school student. And she talked about the fact that she didn't really think about space as a career for herself because she thought that it was too hard. But once she did a design project and she was on a robotics team and started having fun and knowing that it was something that she could do, that inspired her then to continue on. And now she's got a scholarship and she's going to be going to get a 4-year degree in engineering. And so, you know, for all of us that have that ability to reach a student, to let them know, you know, if they may think that it's something they can't do, if you can give them a project, if you can have them come shadow you for a day, they will get hooked. They will get hooked. It is hard. Where's Heather? She told me she heard a talk at Lyceum 2 years ago about space, and she got so excited, she was like, I got to get involved in space. And there she is. And, you know, I just want to tell you, Heather, that meant the world to me, because that's really what this is. This is not, we don't go to space just for each individual. We go because we're trying to go for humanity. And it's what we all get to do together. So thank you for sharing your story with me, Heather. So with that, I think that's all that I had for prepared remarks. And it's 5 o'clock and I hear people drinking. Yeah, I could probably do like 10, 15. All right.
Hello. I am currently a student here at Austin Community College, but I have been figuring out where to transfer, and I noticed Texas A&M currently is in the works for a Texas Space Institute. I'd love to learn more about that opportunity at Johnson Space Center.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you for asking me about the Space Institute. I don't know, Gwen, did y'all talk about it earlier? You did not. Okay. So one of the things, as I mentioned, the state of Texas has been investing in aerospace. And so one of the things that they've done is to invest in a space institute. Texas A&M is facilitating the Space Institute for the state. And they have property that is right outside the Johnson Space Center. We had some land that we were not using, so we moved the fence line over so that they would be able to build on it. So they're leasing that land. And so with the Space Institute, right now it's a huge facility. They are looking at having the ability for us to do testing between companies, academia, the government, and not just civil space, but also military space, others that have things that they want to test out. And they have 2 people that are the executive director, a former astronaut, Dr. Nancy Gregg, and Rob Ambrose, who used to be over robotics at NASA's Johnson Space Center. So we'll be doing robotics testing. We'll be able to take these rovers that I described. This, if you go back to that map that I showed you, and so you saw rovers, you saw habitats. Well, right now we don't have a place where we can actually do end-to-end integrated testing of that with our astronauts being able to physically move from one space to the other and do testing. This facility, I think each of the domes, Gwen, make sure I got this right, are about the size of a football field. Yes, Kyle Field to be exact. And so think about it. I mean, so for us, we're super excited about the state investing in that. So we will have, there's going to be a lunarscape and there's going to be a Marsscape. They're almost already built, finished building that building. It's remarkable. If you get a chance to come to Houston, I think Megan talked about it, you know, that she gets to drive past the Johnson Space Center. Now she gets to drive past the Space Institute, and she gets to drive past Space Center Intermediate. But really, it's around having a place for us to have academia and, you know, professors, students, everybody to be able to collaborate in one space. Pun intended.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Nikki Krishnadat, and I represent Space Force Association, Austin chapter, and the Mavis Foundation. My question is, there's so much stuff going on within the space ecosystem, and it's very exciting to me. And as you shared Heather's story, my story is similar. My question is this. In regards to NASA, is there a program that helps certain ISDs to have their students learn more about aerospace? And the reason I ask that question is this. When you think about what you would need to build everything you've shown, you need not just a technician, the engineers, the welders, the construction people in space. Sorry, I don't know the proper terminology.
Construction people in space.
Yes, but but manufacturing itself, which has been given such a bad reputation for decades. So when you talk about manufacturing within the space ecosystem, the kids, they kind of turn away because they're not aware of it. With AI in the scene, the jobs that are going to be there for kids when they start in middle school to by the time they graduate, the landscape is going to look different. I'm in the semiconductor manufacturing industry, and aerospace is also an industry we support. That's my paying job for Asset Solutions. I just had to throw that in. My question is, what pathways are there for the ISD kids, the independent school district, to NASA?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. So, yeah, we have what we call our Office of STEM Engagement, OSTEM. And so a part of their responsibility is that inspiration arm and also the educational arm. We partner with others to do that. So, for example, in Houston, we have our visitor center is called Space Center Houston. And they have everything from summer camps to programs during the week, during the day. Students come, international students come to do hands-on learning so that they can get excited about what we're doing and doing in space. We also have programs with the space station itself where we have high school students that build some hardware that we fly in space. It's called Hunch. It's high school underreserved something or another program. But these students are actually building some of the things that we use for logistics that we use in space. They build the stowage bags that you see us carrying on board the International Space Station. There's high school students that are doing that. So we work with our ISDs. So there's agreements that we have, like for example, at Johnson, we have one with the Houston Independent School District. Clear Creek is the school district that's near us. We have programs. As a matter of fact, for Artemis, that school district has a whole curriculum that they're doing this year just around getting ready for Artemis and what we'll be doing together in space. Okay.
A couple of other options include the NASA Space Grant Consortium, which is operated out of University of Texas here at Austin. And they are a NASA-funded entity that also does a lot of outreach into the ISDs. And then we're collaborating, the Space Commission is beginning to collaborate with the NASA OSTEM office to look at how we can really, at a state level, since education is done at the state level, how we can connect those dots. So in fact, we are working on a strategic plan to connect the school districts to everything space. And then there are organizations like the Aldrin Family Foundation that are doing a chipset program through UT for high school students. You know, Space Center Houston's a great one, but Challenger Centers around Texas at Texas State Technical Colleges. So there's, you know, if we're successful, and I think we can be at the Space Commission on the workforce pipeline, is to aggregate all of those places that you can send students to. Like Blue Origin has their nonprofit Club for the Future, that they're focused on teachers, providing free resources to educators, particularly here in Texas, they're very active in going into some of the rural communities. So there's a lot there. We just need to make it easier for folks to find. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, and the Space Commission, I'll toot Gwen's horn. One of the things that they have, one of their swim lanes is around workforce, and it is around STEM engagement. So thank you. Thank you, Gwen.
Hi, my name is Ken McClarney. I'm a former NIFS intern, so I'm eternally grateful to NASA for the opportunity. I know with the SBIR authorization lapsing, there was this shift to the broad agency announcement, and now that there are my question is that now that there are the rumblings of that authorization potentially going through again, what does the future of these sorts of announcements look like for NASA within SBIR and the broad agency announcements?
Yeah. So I will tell you, I'm not as familiar with that particular program, but I will tell you, so NASA is a government agency. We get funded through our Congress. And what is happening, what the young man is mentioning is we're getting a new authorization, and it's the House has a version, the Senate has a version. They have to conference and come up with one. But from what all indications that I have is that many of the programs that we previously thought were not going to be funded, those are being funded as a part of those efforts.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And since you said that, I'm going to say for all the NASA interns or previous interns in the House, raise your hands. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nicole Sawyer. Nice to meet you. I was wondering, you talked a lot about commercial space moving at warp speed, and as you see this acceleration, where do you find the biggest opportunities, but what worries you the most?
Oh, so the question is around, and it's not just commercial space, it's government space, it's our international partners, all of us needing to move at warp speed. And so, you know, opportunities are in us being able to design these vehicles, test them faster than we have in the past. You know, it takes generally about 7 years to do a human-rated spacecraft. And when we decided to retire the space shuttle, for example, we had plans to have replacement vehicles, but it took much longer than that for that to happen. And so the opportunity is there for us to figure out together between all of those entities, how can we get that done faster? We have to do it faster. And I will tell you, I was with one of the company execs Friday night, and you know, they're not sitting down waiting for somebody to tell them. They're trying to figure this out. Everybody's trying to figure it out. I do believe that we will be able to do that because we have to close gaps. You know, we want to be able to have the space station as long as we can because we don't want to have a gap between having these follow-on space stations. And so these companies that you saw sitting up here earlier talking about what they're doing, they know that they have to close those gaps. We have to get that done faster. The second part of your question was what worries me?
What worries you the most? Yeah, like is it pollution? You know, a lot of companies going up there.
Well, yeah. So whether we have with this Artemis Accords, there are also some things that people agree to on how they're going to cooperate in space. They're going to support the space treaty so that, you know, we're going to not do things that are going to harm, you know, the moon. So those things will be agreed to, and that we won't make those. I think if anything, it probably really is around the human side of things and making sure that we are connecting with our stakeholders. You're my stakeholder, and I need to be able to connect with you. I need to be able to explain to you why we're doing this, the benefit, the return of your investment that you're going to get out of it for your 2 children that you have, that I know you want those 2 girls to be able to do whatever they want to do in their careers. That to me is important, is what I worry about. I worry about sometimes we can be in a, we're all kind of can get in our little space lane and think everybody's on board with us, but making sure everybody really is on board with what we're doing.
Thank you.
Hi, Marcus Hervey. Question for you. Can you speak more on NASA Force? And I also had a thought of how can HBCUs be more involved with Artemis and space program? If you don't
Awesome. So NASA Force, we were fortunate. The head of OPM came to visit NASA, and he chose to visit NASA's Johnson Space Center. So we had an opportunity to talk to him about, what do we need? We need to have, a skilled force of workforce to be able to accomplish the goals. So how can we do that, and how can we do that so we can rapidly move, right? We don't have time to kind of wait to build. So one way to be able to do that is to have projects that we are having, maybe it's a challenge, and we can ask someone that may have done this in another industry. We can ask them, hey, can you take this on and go solve that challenge for us? Additionally, we can use that mechanism to be able to bring back some experienced people. Maybe, someone has had a whole career and they're now ready to move on to do something different, but they want to give back to their country. Then they can come back and spend 2 years or on a temporary assignment coming back to help NASA solve challenges. So that's really the emphasis behind NASA Force. HBCUs. So one of the things that I have done is to reach out to all the universities that will have me in Texas, to ask them to come and sign Space Act agreements on how we can partner together. And so we've done that with Texas A&M, University of Texas, but also with Texas Southern University and with Prairie View A&M to talk about things that they could be working on, projects they can be assigned. They already do grants with NASA. You have professors that have been doing this for years, but there may be specific things that we can work on together. And so those are some of the things we do. Texas Southern University, if you guys don't know, they have aviation is one of their emphasis. And so we have an aviation department at Johnson, and they have a hangar that's right down the field from where we are. And so how do we have our technicians, how do we have our pilots working with their pilots, their technicians, and the students can work on projects together? Thank you. Any more questions? We might be out of time.
We're about out of time, but please hang out and stay with us for the evening. We'd love to have you as long as you can stay. And everybody, what do you say? Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Director Wyche.